One of the things I've heard you say, I think it was that you said it was like going to Barstool was like having a heart attack every day, or, and so you're in this environment where, it's been male when guys can be guys and they, say things. And, what's the most difficult moment you had working in that kind of environment, particularly when you were early on? I mean, you didn't have a chance yet to affect the culture, and then how did you handle it?
What I will say, and I think people think this is strange, is that Barstool is actually the most welcoming place I have ever worked. So I didn't encounter a lot of that. I walked into Barstool and it was weird, honestly. I expected like shirtless guys chugging beers and like beating the shit out of each other. Like I didn't know what I was going to expect, but they were truly, what's very surprising to people who don't know Barstool and haven't been inside of Barstool is that is a hardworking company, and really, really hardworking, and the integrity is super, super high. I think, in my experience, the more sexist jobs I had or the more insidious places I worked tended to be the bigger companies, where the thing about Barstool was, if it was happening on the internet, which I think people found very jarring, because when people were fighting in the office or there was something that happened in the office, it was on Twitter, and that's weird. That was weird for me joining. It took a while to get comfortable with that. But I think in terms of the places I've worked that have been less friendly to women, Barstool would not be in the top 5.
That's really interesting, because the founder of Barstool, you mentioned him, David Portnoy, he comes off, at least on the surface, as sexist, as pretty sexist type guy. How'd you make that partnership work?
I don't think Dave is sexist. I think Dave calls it like it is. Whether you're a woman, you're a man, he calls it like it is. Now, has Dave made jokes that aren't funny anymore and maybe weren't ever funny? Like, definitely, but I do not think he's sexist. In terms of our partnership, we had a great partnership. And I think we had a great partnership because one of the hard things, speaking of leadership, is when you come into a company that has a founder, it can be hard for the business person, right? Because it's not your company, you didn't create it, they know more than you do, they're in charge. And it's, in my experience, having talked to a lot of founder-led and run companies and being on the board of founder-led and run companies, most founders don't know what they don't know, or they still want to own what they don't control, or they still want to control what they don't own. And Dave was really none of those things. So Dave was really honest always about what he didn't know. And we had a good divide and conquer mentality. And I think he would say I made most of the decisions, and I think I would say he helped make most of the decisions, and it just kind of worked that way.